Hello. Yeah, I've got a timer now. I spent a bit of time figuring some stuff out. I watched a few tutorials on YouTube. I've got a starting soon timer. All of that good stuff. So how are you? How's the week been? My week's been great. I've done, what have I done? I mean, I got to see friends, which is always nice. Played some D&D today, that's always fun. But yeah, we can jump straight into it, I think. Working all sorts and railway stuff for Tyrell. Ah, that's nice. That's interesting. I haven't really been. I'm in the Tyrell. I'm in the Tyrell Discord, but I haven't really looked at any of the. I haven't really partaken in any of the world building or looked at it much. Just sort of. I don't know why I'm there really, but yeah. And if there was anything you wanted to tell me about it, I'd be happy to listen. Or if you were, what's it called? Or if there were any ideas you wanted to carry over. So, I think right now we're working off of. Oh wait, no, I have background music now. 1 second, I can get some background music. If I just, what do we want? Let's go with lo-fi. See what that's like. Give it a second. No, what? I didn't. No, lo-fi. Okay, 1 minute. I'm having some technical difficulties. It's taking a second to load. So, if you want to do anything with Tyrell, I'd recommend looking into this. South East. Yeah, I'm not really looking at the world building video. Yeah, I'm not really like Tyrell. What do you think about this volume for music? Is it too much? Too quiet now? Or is it like too laggy? That's good. It's coming through really laggy on my headphones. Is it okay for you? Because I heard for you to just fill your ears with like staticky nightmare. Anyway. Let's try. I think we can. It's a tad bit loud. Okay, let me try. Is that better? Is that a better volume? I've only just really found the background music on this, so still figuring out some of the what's it called? Still figuring out some of the little bits, the details. Oh wait, language button. Thank you for the follow. I missed that. Yeah, that was tonight. Yeah. Okay, that much better. Okay, good. And we can get into it, I think. First thing, have we got any more ideas for the Marvin's Blood Machine? So this is what we've got so far. A convoy of murders and psychopaths. I think someone came up with the idea that they paint their cars and their vehicles in blood. Can't remember who that was now. I think it might have been Zed Deadhead. But and then we decided that they fled to the High North to escape from something called the High Point Massacre. They were almost annihilated, and I just chose. I just decided half their number sounded, in a matter of months, sounded reasonable. And then they stayed in the High North. Percebeth, welcome back. Maybe them, the Maximilian, and Thundershocks all team up for the 7th in motor introduction. Yes, Greg's stream is on. You just missed the brand new starting soon countdown stream that I had. I forgot to switch scenes. 1 second. So it's a good idea for them to work together for the motor insurrection, but what we've got, like during something called the Five Cities War. That's okay, Percival. You don't need to talk all the. Yes, it's a shame you missed. You don't need to talk all the time, but it's fine. I'm just glad you're here. Yeah, after the Five Cities War, or during the Five Cities War, the Marvin's Blood Machine had a significant victory against the Thunder Sharks, which in the video they were planning to repeat now that they're heading down from the north. But like, the 7th motor insurrection doesn't have to be like a one-sided thing. It doesn't have to be like the insurrectionists and the government. There could be like several groups all working together, couldn't it? And several groups all working against each other, sort of thing. And I think the seventh insurrection, what we sort of discussed last week, was the motor insurrections were mainly the work of the Brotherhood of Muscle. And the 7th motor insurrection in particular is an attempt by the Brotherhood to seize power and try and keep some semblance of stability in the region. So after the collapse of the Taangali Empire, which is like the big thing in the modern timeline. Here we are. So it's like after the collapse of the Taangali Empire, it sort of led to a large-scale war among various factions, sort of akin to the post-Soviet power grab, a bunch of former military warlords attempting to take up what little power remains in the region. So that's sort of what we discussed last week. It's subject to change if you think that you've got something that's a much better idea, but yeah. So I was thinking about the High Point massacre, like some point over the week, and so Five Cities War. The way we sort of discussed the Five Cities War, there were 5 cities and 2 prime convoys involved. The Thunder Sharks and Marvin's Blood Machine. And Marvin's Blood Machine did very well against the Thunder Sharks, which is perhaps the reason why the Thunder Sharks haven't been able to enter the region for generations. But anyway, so I think I put down that 3 cities had aligned themselves with Marvin's Blood Machine, and then 2 others had gone with the Thunder Sharks. And during the war, they had tolerated the Blood Machine's actions for the sake of victory. But once it was over, they turned on their ally. They turned on the convoy. So I was just thinking, like, what do we, like, can we add a bit more to the High Point massacre? Like, is it one single event, or is it like a prolonged, campaign against the Blood Machine? Whichever firing convoy faced the High Point massacre could have sided with the Empire, and now the Empire had fallen, they're free to move south for the insurrection. So the Marvin's Blood Machine, they faced they were the ones being hit by, like, attacked by the High Point massacre. They were the subject of the High Point massacre. One second, just need to move something out of the way. Okay. It could be when Mecha are first used by the Brotherhood. Now, oh, it could be. Like, maybe it's called the High Point Massacre. A minute. Takes place on. Because in modern day they use them a bit. So the mecha would have to be like, you know, petrol engines or something like that, because that's sort of what the Brotherhood's thing is. But yeah, so what if the High Point Massacre takes place on like a big, really tall mountain called High Point, because it's the highest point. Anyway, so it takes place on this mountain, and it's very difficult for cars or like any kind of vehicles to get there, and there's only like a small path. Drop out of an airship. That could be part of it, because I thought there are only like 3. I could only think of like 3 reasons for it to be called the High Point Massacre. it would either be in terms of latitude, which would like high north, but because they fled north, I didn't think that was purely a one-off ship. Yeah. So either high north, high altitude, or it could be like a cultural high point of the, like right at the peak of their power and influence and culture or whatever, is when the massacre takes place. What do you think? Out of like the high point latitude, high point altitude, or high point culturally? Like if we go high point altitude, then we could have the mechas being used by the Brotherhood to sort of get places where most other vehicles couldn't. Probably high altitude, a glade on top of a mountain would make sense. Perhaps they arbitrated prior to the massacre, then took refuge in the high point mountains because things can't get up there very easily. But mechas and airships and an airship can fly. That's a good idea. What do you think, Lightbolt? What do you think of Percy Best's idea? That's good. Yeah, I like it. Percival, how's the music for you? Is it like too loud, too quiet, too glitchy? Because I don't know if it's just my headphones, but it's coming through really glitchy on my end. The city turn and the allies. Quite quiet, not glitchy. Okay, so I might turn it up a little bit because Lightbox said it was too loud earlier. So if I turn it up a tiny bit, what do you think of that? Turned on the ally, forcing the blood machine to retreat. They fled to high point, a glade at the top of a mountain. The mountainous terrain proved near impossible for most tracked and even hover vehicles to pass. Decent amount of background. What do you think, Lightbolt? Is that a good level for the music? Even hover vehicles to pass. And so they believed they were relatively safe. However, it's good. Okay, I'm glad. I'm glad we got a good level for it. I'm glad it's not glitchy for you. I don't know what's wrong with my headphones, but anyway. It's relatively safe. However, the Brotherhood, the ideas for the Brotherhood mecha was that they just kind of inexplicably work. A lot of advanced Brotherhood tech is like that. Truly some kind of ritual. Like what? Were you here last week when we were talking about the Brotherhood of Muscle? Like I can't remember who done most of the work for that one. Is it you or was it someone else? Yes, it was you. Okay, good. The Brotherhood's mecha just kind of work. We don't know why. They just do. Just because. Yeah, that's good. That works. The Brotherhood. So do you like? I just write it down and then you can tell me what you think. Reminds me of the orcs in 40k. Yeah. Yeah. Sort of. In a way, I guess, yeah. The War. It's got to be my favorite bit of like sci-fi world building ever. The War. The orcs are just too stupid to realize the power they have. Oh, the Brotherhood utilized mecha next for the first time, and also took advantage of an airship. They surrounded the blood machine. They surrounded the glade, advancing from directions deemed impossible to traverse and dropping in from above. Marvin's blood machine were caught completely off guard. The leader is called the Combustion Eternum, aka Combustion Eternal, which is a play on internal. So it's not internal combustion, it's eternal combustion. That's funny. I like that. If you guys get tired of this music, I can find something else to put on. Like there's a whole list of options. So if this gets boring or whatever. Marvin's blood machine was completely off guard and massacred. And forced to order a retreat. I don't think Marvin's blood machine is kind of the group to like take retreat very kindly. I don't know, but I just feel like they don't usually retreat. They usually just keep fighting no matter how bad the odds are. Oh yeah, some people put some notes here, didn't they? Forgot about them. I feel like they would fight to the end, yes. As well as resulting in the death of thousands of what do we call them? Maybe post-massacre they are something of a sham, only using the name for recognition. Yeah, I like that. Like they retreat to the high north and they're pretty much just a shadow of their former self, barely functioning, and civil war every few years. But then something happens, resulting in people overestimating or underestimating their capabilities. As well as resulting in the deaths of thousands of blood machines. What do we call the people of the blood machine? Thousands of cogs. As well as resulting in the deaths of thousands of cogs, the entire leadership was slaughtered in the fallout for the disgrace. Blood cogs. I don't like components, but I do like cogs. Blood cogs. People would think they are the real thing, but they are really just a bunch of idiots using the name. Yeah, but yeah, that sounds good. But what if, like, after the collapse of the empire, what if something happened? Like maybe someone, like if they started to reform or something and became a much more formidable threat. The slaughter in the fallout by fallout after a coup. New leader arrived, earning respect in a victory of some sort. Something like that, yeah. That could work. By modern day people know. So it would be random and unexpected for them to suddenly be good at fighting again. Yeah, I like that. So let's just finish this. The machine fled north in disgrace. They spent the following decades suffering through many civil wars, unstable leadership, and several disastrous attempts at what's called maybe saving a glade or clearing out some form of environmental threat, or achieving victory over one of the cities that initially betrayed them. I'm thinking, in my head, I've got this sort of Napoleon figure. Like this guy who's, like, in general, and maybe not even a very important general, but they are very good at what they do and win despite terrible odds. That's like not a very accurate idea of Napoleon, but you know what I mean. Like this kind of figure who just comes out of nowhere. Okay, 1 minute. Actually, it might be more akin to Napoleon, at least in vibe. There's a lot of things that Napoleon stood for and did. I don't understand half of them. But anyway, several disastrous attempts at very talented leader becomes a figurehead? Yes, pretty much. So what are they attempting to do? Like, they attempt to bring back like honor or glory at bringing some honor back to the blood machine. The only problem with that is that all the cities they will have betrayed them are well within the sphere of influence of the Brotherhood, would almost immediately respond if they attacked Blade. Regain lost lands, recover the fallen at high point. How would they recover the fallen? They're dead. This is the blood machine. They're a convoy of murderers and psychopaths. They paint their cars with the blood of their enemies and often their friends and neighbors. Just like, remember who we're looking at. Remember, that's the sort of vibe we're going for. They would be dead for several generations. Yes. Like, they're not the kind of people to think, we need to go recover the dead bodies for their families. No, they don't care. Not really. So what's this Napoleonic figure done to regain, like, to bring the blood machine back together? The name became not a laughing stock, because they still. It was still slaughter at the, what's it called? Oh wait, preposterous pleb, thanks for the follow. Play out an environmental set, good propaganda. No, I really like the idea of this guy like being in the thick of the fighting. It became a laughing stock of the East Coast. Before long. It was clear they were riding off of the fame and glories of their past. But even this could not last. Their name soon became a laughingstock of the East Coast. Current environmental threat. I don't think good propaganda would work. No, they'd like. Well, it might work, but it didn't feel right to me. I don't think. Like, the idea I had before, like, Bolt said, came in with their good point, was like they led a small group to one of the cities. Perhaps Blood Machine could become an insult for the person who's too big. I like that. I really like that. Blood Machine became a nickname. Someone, but it's not just someone who's too big for their boots. It's particularly like their bark is worse than their bite. Like someone who's trying to make themselves look big, particularly in a violent sense. So like they're like squaring up, big muscles, being like, you want to go, but then they go down with a single punch. That kind of thing. Overplayed and overstated their physical ability, often being faced with embarrassment. There's one R in embarrassment, isn't there? No, there's two. There's two S's though. Often being faced with embarrassment as soon as any fight actually broke out. Like you're a bit of a blood machine, you are. Or maybe, yeah, I really like that. The idea I had for this Napoleonic figure, whoever they are, we can just call them, I don't know, Timmy. Not Timmy, but yeah, so the idea I had was that they sort of took a small group, like a small combat team or something, absolutely takes over the blood machine by beating down or subjugating other attempted leaders who are fighting. That's one way to do it. It's not quite the Napoleonic. It's not quite the what I was thinking of, because what I was thinking of is this leader who's right in the battlefield with their men, with their soldiers, like right there with them, fighting next to them, getting muddy with them. And then they win like massive successes that they really shouldn't, considering all the odds stacked against them. But it's just like Napoleon's, like when France was fighting Austria, Napoleon was meant to be a diversionary assault, and he ended up becoming the main assault. And there was a famous thing where, a story where he was in the mud, firing the artillery shells, getting dirty with the men, and they respected him to the point where when he ordered a suicidal assault over a bridge, the men did it and succeeded. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I was thinking. The two ideas aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. Yeah, fair enough. Like, what's the kind of main thing that they do? So, 1 minute. Maybe one of the cities that betrayed them creates like an outpost or something similar, up in the high north, and the blood machine take this as a massive insult, because the high north is like their land. Most people don't really go there, but suddenly these guys are putting outposts here. And so this guy decides to launch an assault, and no one really, as much of an insult as people think it is, they're not really in the fighting mood. Well, they are in the fighting mood, but like, they haven't won any fights in a long time, so the idea that they could actually win. So this guy goes with pretty much whoever will come, and absolutely destroys them, despite being hopelessly outnumbered and outgunned and massively under-equipped for such a fight. And they just absolutely annihilate, flatten them. And then that's like the triggering thing. And then obviously they beat down and subjugate other leaders fighting for control. A few years before the murder of the last, a few years before the collapse of the Taangali Empire, what do we call this city? Should we just say, should we call him Tim Lord? I don't know. Could be. Maybe we could. But anyway, so a few years before the collapse of the Saudi Empire, one of the Glades. Let's just say Del Harley, because that's one that already exists. Del Harley funded and founded an outpost in the high north, prime territory for the blood machine, and land that many had abandoned, not abandoned, but had avoided due to their presence and fear of them. Because then it's like, there's two answers. Because then it's as though Del Harley is like, no, we're not afraid of you anymore. No, we're not afraid of you, you aren't a threat. Which Marvin's Blood Machine would not be happy to hear. It's like, what's it called? A symbolic move, saying that the Blood Machine isn't a threat. Despite this seen as a massive insult to the Blood Machine, who saw this as Del Harley saying that they weren't a threat anymore, and there was nothing more to fear. Despite this, though, there was very little drive to do something about it. It had been years since the Blood Machine had won even a minor skirmish, and decades of turmoil and instability had left the convoy almost incapable of any united effort of any kind. The outpost was very well defended by Taangali, and the fight would and the war would likely in the battle would likely be the biggest faced by the convoy since the 5 cities war. But I mean, Timlord's a funny name, but we can't actually call him that, can we? Can we? I suppose we could. If we really wanted to, but why not? All right, you know what? Why not? Timlord. You're trying to find a way to make Tim into a leadery name. I'm gonna say you failed, but we're gonna use it anyway. Timlord just sounds even sillier than Tim. Timlord. Let's just go with that. But Timlord, a Lord Timothy of the Blood. Ooh. But a small leading figure with limited reach and support. I always put an R into I always put 2 R's in support. There's only one. Support. Lord Timothy of the Blood. Timlord for short. Knew that if they didn't do something, then what little credibility Marvin's. Who is Marvin? We've answered. We've done all of this. We've done all of this for Marvin's blood machine, and we don't know who Marvin is. Who is Marvin? What little credibility Marvin's blood machine still had would evaporate. The founder. Yeah, fair enough. Creative, yeah, probably. Now, I sort of knew that, but I was sort of thinking like more detail, like who. I don't know. We can probably do something of more detail somewhere else, like in a dedicated Google Doc. Still had would evaporate. He called for them to unite and pick up arms against maybe a follower of the same religion as the Brotherhood of Muslims believes blood could further empower the rituals to their engines. So you think that this could be like a splinter group of the Brotherhood? But like the Maximilianists are also a splinter group, aren't they? I do like the idea of the blood machine in particular being a splinter group. Both are seen as heretical, but they could. So maybe like keep. So you said the Brotherhood. You said that they had like a lives by the code of frontier justice, and they prefer to do good than evil. Well, Marvin's blood machine prefer to do evil than good. So maybe like banished members of the Brotherhood join the blood machine. He had little support, but some chose to join him, deciding it was better to die in glory than live in disgrace. Maybe banished members of the blood machine join the Brotherhood in turn. Why would the blood machine banish someone? Too nice? How you held the door open for someone. You are banished. It was so they were numbered, outgunned, and equipped, and hopelessly outmatched. It should have been a slaughter. They would probably join the Maximilianists. They're anarchists, but not monsters. Yeah. Well, man, I'm just gonna put that there. Maximilianists. Anarchists, but not monsters. The thing about the Maximilianists being like an offshoot of the Brotherhood of Muslims. The vibe I was getting off the Maximilianists is more like a cultural or religious movement, or like an ideological movement, rather than a convoy. Since you guys were already writing how this would be the second massacre of the blood machine would face. The second one they would face in their lifetime. And in a way, it was just not for the blood machine. Gotta go do shop. Gotta go. Got shopping to do. Bye. Bye, Percebeth. Enjoy your shopping. Tell us all about what you bought when you get back. Like if you get back, there is. If not, then I might see you later. But anyway, see ya. It started from beliefs, inch teachings of the former Brotherhood of Muslim member who was disowned. So someone left, like was banished from the Brotherhood of Muslim and started their own movement. And it's less of a convoy like the Brotherhood. It's less like a beliefs and teachings. So it's less like a convoy or organization and more like a movement. Is that right, or do you want it to be more organized than that? Just not for the blood machine. Against all odds. Tim Lord. The specific person didn't start it. People just believed the same things and started a movement long after their death. Okay, yeah, I like that. That sounds good. I actually do like that, yeah. And it's all Lord. Tim Lord led his... What do we call a group of blood cogs? That led his armada, army, group, followers. Put it simply, the person believes that the Brotherhood should be willing to go further than they are willing to go to be able to keep peace. They were considered an extremist by the standards of the Brotherhood. Yeah. The words of witnesses embodied what it truly meant to be the blood machine. Sup guys, sup Normal, how are things with you? Right now we're working on the Marvin's blood machine. We're working on some of the history between the right now I'm writing what happened between the Five Cities War and the present day. I can catch you up on that if you want. They tore through the streets of the city. I'll read in parallel if possible. Do you want the Google Doc is on the Discord? Right. Though I can send it again if you want, so you can, because it's not all going to be on the screen at the same time, so you might miss bits. We toured through the city, through the streets of the city, joined any what's it called? Resistance. It is said that by the time they left, the vehicles them and their vehicles were so stained in blood that they looked as though they'd been painted red. they were welcomed back with glory and celebration. What's it called? Reputation of the blood machine had been restored. And Tim Lord's rise to power was trivial from there. He beat down, suppressed, and subjugated any rivals to his ascension, being the first leader to be nearly universally recognized since the High Point massacre. He was finally able to unite the blood machine again. Okay. Okay, Lightbolt, if you're still there, you still there? Because I have some questions. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, because the Brotherhood's your thing, so I didn't want to do this without your permission, but what if, because one minute. So Dalhali set up an outpost. Dalhali was one of the cities in the 5 Cities War. And they set up an outpost there in the High North. So Tim Lord and the Blood Machine went and absolutely wiped it off the face of the earth. So, and what I was thinking is that we said before that people don't expect it to be as powerful as it is. Like 1 minute. So yeah, people expect them to be small, like weak and disorganized, but then suddenly they're just very capable. So I was wondering if the Brotherhood could try and send some counterattack against the Blood Machine after they destroyed the outpost in that Dalhali made, and for the counterattack to be what's it called? To just be I don't want to say annihilated again, but the counterattack to be appropriately counted. You know what I'm saying? Or am I just like really unclear? Definitely, they'd send a full-on war party. But would it be okay? Like, would you mind if the full war party were defeated in battle by the Blood Machine? Would that not fit with your? Would it not make sense, or would it not fit, or something? Because other than that, if they put up a good fight, then yeah. Okay, so I think maybe not utterly annihilated, but they are defeated. So in retaliation, the Brotherhood of Muscle sent a full war party to Marvin's blood machine moved down to meet them and achieved their second. Some random members would probably show up, maybe a dozen with as many of this. So random members, you mean like random members of the Brotherhood? Do you think the counterattack would be a few days later? A full war party would probably show up. Okay, in retaliation, the Brotherhood of Muscle sent. So what I think you're saying is that some random members show up to counterattack, they get defeated, and then a few days later a full war party shows up. Is that right? Is that like along the lines of what you were thinking? Two. Sorry, I had to step away for a second. Could you? Yeah, no problem. So what I think you're saying is that some random vehicles from the Brotherhood go to meet the Blood Machine and are defeated, and then a full war party shows up and presumably is defeated as well. Is that like what you were thinking? With the war party, it would be something of a standstill. Yeah, like a stalemate, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, because like the Brotherhood of Muscle is the sorry for bothering you. I want to offer you a promotion. Yeah, sounds great. I'm gonna pass on that, thank you. Gosh darn bots. But yeah, that makes sense. The Brotherhood of Muscle is one of the biggest. What's it called? What is it? Oh yeah, so the Brotherhood is one of the biggest convoys in the area, isn't it? So it makes sense. In retaliation, several groups. One of the biggest Are you saying like it's one of the biggest factions instead of one of the biggest convoys? Is that what you're saying there? Several, not even a convoy. They have several convoys. Several subcon. Okay, so it's like a bigger alliance of convoys. Yeah. So yes, okay. So they're the biggest faction in the East Coast. Yeah, that makes sense. That then several groups within the Brotherhood move to counter attack. Move to perform a counterattack on the Blood Machine. The Brotherhood is an alliance of convoys or a prime convoy? Not sure. Lightbolt, do you want to weigh in on that? The result was the machines with their second major victory in result was the second major victory in months of the New Age. Well, neither. They are a faction with territory and even a glade for its capital. They have a prime convoy that does a loop within their territory along with several sub-convoys. The result was their second major convoy of the in just a few months. Marvin's blood machine began their slow advance north, aiming to take revenge on their old enemies and reenact their what was it? What was the wording in the original video? Coming down rejuvenated from the High Point Massacre, eager to reenact their victory. Okay. Eager to reenact their victory over the Thunder Sharks. Okay, so I think we've done with Marvin's blood machine. 1 minute, did I? Oh right, yeah. They are a splinter group of the Brotherhood of Muscle. Made up of mostly what's it called? Exiled former members. While the Brotherhood would rather okay. So the large territory out of the capital glade is more like a zone of influence or activity, the zone of influence or slash activity or something like this. Mostly exiled former members, while the Brotherhood would rather do good than evil, but is capable of both. the do good than harm. Blood machine would rather do harm than good, and is very rarely capable of the latter. The members regularly patrol the roads. So I imagine they patrol the major routes, don't they? But what about the smaller routes? Did we come up with an official name for them, or are they just called routes? Yeah, I think we just call them routes. Yeah. So do they just patrol the major ones and maybe some of the smaller ones? Still patrol, but less often. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I think Marvin's blood machine went from one of our least developed to one of the most developed, aside from obviously the what's the Brotherhood, because you've got like a whole, what's it called? You've got like a whole thing, Google Doc with them, haven't you? So anyway, so I think we need to look at these comments that someone made. So I think it could be neat for Glasswall to be born from a slave revolt or insurgency within the Taangali Empire. Be a nice contrast to Dalhara. I think it would have a system similar to that of the Mason Order from Chivalry. What is Chivalry? I've never heard of it. Former. Should we look at the Gladiator Kings? I think it might fit. The Gladiator Kings. You mean with the Gladiator Kings of the Taangali Empire? One minute, there's something I think I forgot to write here. What was it? Oh yeah, I was gonna write something. They believe in the glory of blood and slaughter. I think that'll do for now, but yeah, might edit it later. Yeah, so the Gladiator Kings of the Taangali Empire. Okay. So, let's just say former city-state of the Taangali Empire. And then if we're looking at slave revolt with Gladiator King, there could be like slaves forced to fight, which was a gladiator city. Like probably something similar to, you know, that world, it could be a faction born from a slave rebellion. It could be, when they were still owning gladiator slaves. The full of slaves forced to battle each other daily. Yeah, but the thing you never want to do with slaves is teach them how to fight. So, like, how does this slave revolt sort of happen? Like, is there a figurehead like the Mockingjay, or some kind of movement or something? What's that like gladiator world in Marvel called? Like where Thor and Hulk go. This rebellion thing fits with my factions. What are your factions? Oh wait, Political Lindy. I missed that. Thanks for the follow. The Battle Sanctuary. Oh, that one, yeah. Whereabouts was that on the map again? We'll need to have a check. Need to have a look. Factions. Battle Sanctuary. Did you write like where it was in the? Oh, it's the Dark Sands shore, isn't it? Okay, I see it now. Right, like where it is on the map. So it's a bit far from the. It does fit with your faction, like in ideology, but it's a bit far from the East Coast, I think, because like we're working around the East Coast, which one minute I'll get the. So your faction is about here-ish, and we're working sort of around this area-ish, like this big, I don't know what to call that, hammerhead. Yes, the faction didn't exodus from the outbreak or something. Yeah. So like we're working sort of around this region, so Glass War might be really anywhere around here. So, fellow slaves forced to battle each other daily. So how does the, I mean, it could be related, like there could have been, what's it called, missionaries or spies or something from your faction that encouraged a slave revolt. If you wanted that, we could try and work something like that in. It's a very long way to go, isn't it? I think it's important to establish facts around the outbreak, not flesh out my faction. The stage of revolt is their pilgrimage destination. Okay. Well, we could look at your faction like maybe next week. It's sort of getting to the time I like to end. So I just wanted a more grounded origin story of the Gladiator King. Yes, for sure. So yeah, we could talk about the Battle of Sanctuary and some of the origins around the Gladiator Kings and the Kathagi Empire in that particular aspect next week if you wanted. But we have like 10 minutes left, so I think I would love to be able to get some idea of what we could do for the slave revolt. Or maybe get something small written down. So let's think. What's the sort of inciting incident for this? Because I mean, it doesn't have to be an inciting incident. It could just be that people are tired and they just decide. But it feels like there has to be like something to start it all. Maybe the cause of it. Like no one likes being a slave, but there needs to be a feeling of, I don't know, unity. Like there's some central movement where people know that they're not alone in this fight. Like someone escaped to just prove that freedom is possible. But this isn't just freedom, this is taking a city, isn't it? That's true, yeah. I like the idea, but something needs, like maybe they get backing from some state or another, like someone who doesn't like the Kathagi Empire goes to the city and says, we will give you weapons, resources, things that you need to fight a revolt. So maybe some sort of movement sort of starts gaining traction, and then a faction comes from outside to back it, turning it from a temporary, what's it called? A temporary thing into a full revolt. So like maybe some kind of, difficult starting a revolution. What if someone was promised freedom but didn't get it? Or like someone, like maybe a champion or something. Someone escaped, then convinced a faction enemy of the empire to take the city to weaken them. But in the end, the slaves took it themselves. Okay. Yeah, I like that. So let's say.
Okay.
What do you want this person who escaped? Do you want to decide their name? And do you want to decide what, you can decide what to call them. I'm not the best at naming things. The escape. The escape.
I'll have one of them Jaffa bombs tomorrow.
Yeah. Certain level of a slave? No, not to constantly bring them up, but it could be the extremely pro-freedom frontier justice brotherhood. I mean, it's fair that you do keep bringing them up because they're like the biggest, one of the biggest groups. Probably at the time of Glass Wall, second only to the Kathagi Empire in the region. I was thinking. But yeah, they are quite big. Well, very big. So they would be involved in most things. But maybe we can go with some keeping them in just come. Yeah, I think it's like it does also make sense. Like you wouldn't want it to be. You'd want to be anonymous because the Kathagi Empire is massive. A slave known only as the escapist.
That's how I've been looking at it.
Managed to escape Glass Wall. Like, as much as I like the Brotherhood, and I think they would be related to most things. I think we could try and involve some other faction in this. We don't have to name it yet. We could create maybe the extremist Maximilianist. Yeah, I think the Maximilianist would be, because we already know that they don't like the Kathagi Empire. Glass Wall. And sought refuge in a Maximilianist temple. Maximilianist hero could work, yeah. On there.
Click on there.
1 second. Just
random.
Sorry, just had to do something quickly. So, the Maximilians do crusade. What if this was one of their crusades? So, refuge in a Maximilianist temple. They spoke to the priests and convinced them that they could take Glass Wall, freeing the slaves and weakening the Kathagi Empire. The Glass Wall Crusade, that sounds cool. The movement quickly gained traction, with Glass Wall being such a significant city to the Kathagi Empire. And soon, many were calling for a crusade, nicknamed the Glass Wall Crusade. Hey, Professor Beth, so we finished Marvin's Blood Machine. and we're working on glass walls. Someone suggested that it could be born of a slave revolt or insurgency to create a bit more contrast with Del Harley. Do you happen to know what chivalry and the Mason Order is? Because I think it would have a system similar to that of the Mason Order from chivalry. Okay, nicknamed the Glass War Crusade. Working with slaves and inside, the plan was to combine. I don't know that. No, shame. The plan was to combine a slave revolt on the inside with an invasion from the outside.
That is not ideal.
With the idea that the slave revolt would weaken the glass wall defenses, the escapists and the glass wall. Weaken the glass wall defenses, allowing the Maximilianists to get in. The Escapists and the Glass Wall Crusade. That does sound like a good story. It was fought.
Oh no! It has not been.
Fought with
The reason I cannot find.
difficulty. How do you spell fought?
Yeah,
With an A apparently. That sure. Yes, English, that makes sense. The Maximilianists planned to betray the slaves, taking the city for their own, and had very little care to what happened. They generally believed that the slaves would be slaughtered during the revolt. Meanwhile, the slaves, who had been taught to fight since a young age for the Taangali entertainment. I guess how did the crusade actually go? I guess by slaves taking glass wall, it became the superpower of the East Coast today. Yes. So I'm thinking the crusade itself, perhaps the fall of glass wall could have been the start of the end of the Taangali Empire. Yeah. Like the actual collapse of the Taangali Empire was caused by the murder of the last Taangali pretender by a road warrior. But there could definitely a region of power. I don't know about a superpower. I think Glass Wall and Del Harley, prior to the collapse of the Taangali Empire, are like emerging superpowers. Like they're not quite there yet.
Drop the cheesecake.
And they are, but like after the collapse, they take the chance to start grabbing more power, both racing to become the new superpower
Why, have we not
of
got
the
a
East Coast.
smaller, narrower dish that you want to put it in?
Not
Think-
one that would fit everything.
Wanted to take
Could you do?
Glass Wall for themselves and
Is
planned
it not tasty anyway?
to turn on
Right, we'll just eat it and
the
scoop it out with
Crusaders
eat it like a dessert out of
as soon
you know, like a floppy dessert. out of
city
a bowl.
was theirs. Superpower implies that cover. yeah, I think talking about superpowers in a post-apocalyptic world is a bit misleading. I think the closest we're going to get to a superpower is they control the majority of a region. So like the Cathagi Empire is controlled prior to their collapse. I imagine they controlled most of the East Coast. So by today's standards, that's a regional power, but I think considering the state of the world, we could probably call them superpower. We could like not do that. It's gotta go again now. Sorry, excuse me. That's okay. Bye, Percival. Hope you enjoyed the stream and hope the rest of your day is good. Oh wait, I just realized the time. One minute. So, Lightbolt, I think you are right. Like technically, we can't have superpowers because it's a post-apocalyptic world. So I think most of the time when we say superpower, we mean regional power. But so anyway, Cathagi Empire is a regional power. They control, or was a regional power. They control much of the East Coast, while Glasswall and Del Harley are emerging powers in the region. They have they still have a lot of influence, but especially with the Cathagi Empire, they're basically acting as a wall. They stopping them from getting any more, like keeping them much more caged in, I guess. They can't really grow, but now that it's gone, they're both racing to become the new power in the region. But anyway, I run a little bit over. Let me just